So start off by putting a little bit of ground bait into the tube. I've got some nice little 3mm pellets that I've been soaking in special brew liquid. Then a couple of boilies. I'm going to crush those up, and then maybe just to add a little bit of something extra, we can put some maize in. Now this is PVA friendly maize. We'll come back to this in a minute. And then top it off with a little bit more ground bait. And this is where the stick comes in. Push the stick inside the tube to compress the stuff in the bag. And you can see it's nice and tight there. That means I can now trim off the end of the bag, and then I cut a little section down the centre. So I've basically got a bag with two handles, a little bit like a carrier bag. I just literally make one overhand knot, wet my finger, some of the PVA sticks, that secures the knot, trim off, and there's a lovely neat bag that will explode on the bottom and leave my hook bait in a pile of really, really nice food. To attach it to the hook is really simple. I've got a rig here. Take the hook point, put it through the PVA, twist and through again, and that's it. And it really is as simple as that. Now I'm going to show you another bag mix, but before I do that, there's one very important thing you've got to understand about PVA. Basically, PVA is water soluble, so you can put anything you like in it, but when it comes into contact with water, it melts. Now, you might be wondering, how can you put wet stuff inside a PVA bag? Well, the answer to that is, if it's an oil-based liquid, like this stuff here, there's absolutely no problem whatsoever. Now, one thing people have always had a problem with is particle baits, things like hemp and maize, which are fantastic in a bag, but in order to put them in the bag, you've got to dry them out, right? Wrong. One of the best developments that I've come across in recent years are PVA-friendly particles, maize and red hot chili hemp. They've been prepared in a special way, and basically, although they're wet, they won't melt the bag, and that's a really big step forward. Incidentally, if I can give you one tip, use this red hot chili hemp as much as you can. Fish absolutely love it, and the reason is you've got hemp, and inside there also lots of chili flakes. And what happens is when you put this stuff out, the smell from the chili flakes, the hot flavour gets into the lake bed, and it makes fish dig for it. And even when this bait's gone, fish carry on digging. It's absolutely electrifying stuff. Anyway, let's show you how to make up a PVA bag using these PVA friendly particles. Start off same way, it's the same deal basically. Just tie your overhand loop in the end of the bag to make your knot, and then trim off. Now this time, I'm going to put a little bit of hemp into the bag, a few grains of maize. Maybe we could take a couple of boilies, and then maybe we could put in a crushed one as well. Finish off with a little bit more hemp, then take your pusher stick. Now you won't compress this quite as well as you will with the ground baiting, but the idea is basically to get a nice neat little cluster of bait at the end of the bag. It's the same deal this, just trim it down, cut your two handles like that, bring them together, tighten up, moisten your finger just to make the PVA adhere to itself, and then trim off. And there you've got a really nice, neat little bag with particles in. The important point is that if these were normal wet particles, they'd melt this bag. But as you can see, it's perfectly sound. And believe me, especially on gravel pits, what you're looking at there is a really big edge. Well, what a great feeling this is. I've got a little story to tell you. This is actually the Zig rig setup that's gone. There's a lot of fish been moving on the surface out there, and I always say when you're carp fishing, don't ignore the obvious. So I put a bright fluorescent pop-up on a 14-foot hook link, because the water out there is about 14 to 15 feet deep. Chucked it out to where I could see the fish moving, and it took all of about a minute for it to roar off. Absolutely brilliant. Kev's just behind me. I think he's heard me get a take, which is great.
I've spent years training for this. This is my job.
I've got very little control over it, Kev.
Yep, no worries. If I have to, I'll dive in after it.
I might hold you to that. I like the excitement of the fight, but the first one of the season, I want it in. Get it in, Greedy. Yes!
Nice one. Super. What a fish.
Beautiful.
Bah, heck, Matt. I reckon you might have cracked a 20 there.
Absolute
at him.
clunker.
Look at the colours on it.
Well, that's a right result. There's the hook bait there, look. That's a pink Zinger pop-up.
Yep.
You don't have them as freebies, they're just very sweet, flavoured, bright coloured fluorescent pop-up. They're fantastic. Well, it's nice when you take a gamble and it pays off. Perfect.
And in a day ticket fishery that anybody can come and fish.
I've never carp fished here before and haven't been at it very long, you know, and to come down and catch a fish like this, well, you can't beat it, can you? It's just fantastic.
Great. Well done, Matt.
Thank you. Well, I think we'll take that one back, Kev.
Yep.
Beautiful. Well, this is a great product for returning the fish in. It's one of our sling mats, and you can just zip up the sides of the mat when you've finished having your pictures and things. And there's the fish inside. Look how clear the water is. Having a little sulk now. Not quite sure what's happened, but none the worse for wear. And me, ooh, I'm happy. Well, I'm away on one of the rods that have been fished over the bait. This one's on a bottom rig. Went on a tremendous run